Did you see that Travis Wall piece last night? If you haven't, watch it. And if you've already watched it, watch it again.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
All right, you guys, welcome back to The Point with Kristyn Burtt, presented by Dance Network and Popcorn Talk. And we are here for our extra special interviews with our So You Think You Can Dance contestants. And here for this half hour is Darius Hickman. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I asked you when you walked in the door today, I said, what does your social media feed look like today?
Insane. There's so much happening about the piece and then about the eliminations. So I'm like, I'm a little overwhelmed. But positive things, I think.
Oh, I think so. I think it's there's a lot of conversation going on, and as long as the conversation is respectful,
right.
I love it because I love being able to push the dance community a little bit more. Eliminations, it was a surprise, with the two of you, especially because none of us knew that it was going to be just the top 4 vote getters. And I think some of the audience members feel a little shocked by that.
Oh, yeah.
And some of them are like, well, I would have voted differently. And I guess, things happen at any time. So if you have one favorite contestant, it's just proof that you got to keep voting.
Yeah. For me, I think that a lot of people were still focused on the judges making that ultimate decision and not because that's usually how it was. And I think that now the show is evolving to where the votes do matter. And I think that a lot of people are now realizing that after the fact. But, the show said it, so
yeah, they did
meant it.
And it was kind of interesting last week, and in hindsight, Twitch kept on going, hey guys, vote. Just remember, vote.
Right.
He didn't know that they were going to do the top 4 the way that they did. The only person that knew on that judging panel was Nigel. But it was interesting that we were hearing that theme quite a bit, and they weren't kidding. And voting is up, you guys. Did you hear that? You guys have higher votes than season 14.
I know.
Incredible.
That's crazy.
It's incredible when a series is, it's not season 1 and 2. It's not fresh. It's season 15. So you guys should be really proud of that.
About the people in.
Yes, do it. And I really kind of want to start at the top with the Travis Wall piece, because I think to me, this was something when Travis and I spoke last night, he was saying, listen, 10 years ago, this piece would never be on the show. Yep. And he said, for me as a gay man, I was not allowed to say I had a boyfriend or talk about that, because they would say, well, what about all the young girls? They don't want to hear that. And thank goodness we are here in 2018 and we saw this piece last night. Yeah. When you knew you were working with Travis and you were working with Taylor, and then he told you the concept of the piece, did you know how powerful it was going to be, or did you have to really dig deep on this?
No, I definitely knew right away it was going to be something very, very special, because it was coming from a place that was so personal to Travis. And then when Taylor was also included in that, it was very real to me and evident that I needed to say something in my emotion and the way I performed this piece. Because those two are so incredible. Taylor's a fabulous dancer, and I looked up to her when she was on the last season. And then Travis Wall, the one and only, who everyone knows.
2-time Emmy Award winner.
Yeah,
8 consecutive Emmy nominations in a row.
Insane. And so having these two people, I was like, oh my God, I was scared, and I didn't think I was going to be able to pull it off, to be completely honest.
That's a great thing to say, though, honestly, because if you acknowledge that, it goes out the window.
Oh, yeah. And I was like, I need to do this, not only for Travis, but for myself, for so many other people who feel the same way, who went through the same thing, and inspire people to be themselves.
I'm thinking about it, right? And I've watched it a couple times already. And I was I'm tearing up just thinking about it. And I know even getting the music rights was a big deal.
Yeah.
Damian Rice, and Travis will tell the full story in the interview that we'll put out in Dance Network later today, but just doesn't really give clearance for his music. And, Travis really said, this is the piece. And the political climate right now, I think also sort of tipped Damian, where he was yes, let's do this.
Yeah. I was like, and Travis told me that the song just would never get approved. And I was like, what? That's insane to me now that now it's approved and now all of a sudden like everything is happening. Like, I mean, that should say something, I think, about how important the piece was and is to a lot of people.
What is the feedback that you're getting today? Are you hearing other people's stories? Because I think a lot of the community has been in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely, it's so funny because most of my responses are not even from people who are necessarily going through that exact thing, which is really weird to me. I'm getting more messages from people who are seeing this as an outsider, viewing this happening to someone. And it's kind of incredible that now people's eyes are starting to be open and realize this is an issue that needs to be addressed. And it's crazy because you wouldn't think that it would be still an issue in 2018.
But it is.
But it is.
And living in Los Angeles,
yeah.
do have a little bit of a bubble, but there are many other parts of this country that constantly make this an issue.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm so happy that this is out, and I'm so happy that there is conversation about it, because it's important, because there was no conversation about it for so long.
Correct. And one thing I want to say about this, and for a long time this was an issue, and it's something that kind of like grates on my nerves when it's a comment on the judge's side, is when sometimes people would be told, to male dancers, it very rarely happens to female dancers, they'll tell male dancers, you need to dance more masculine.
Oh, yeah.
Very rarely do we tell women, you need to dance more feminine. And I feel like we all have aspects of masculinity and femininity, and it's about the person and the interpretation and art.
Yeah.
And those comments have ceased this season, and I feel like, gosh, we're making progress on this.
I mean, even for me last year, and I'm being completely honest here, like I even remember some producers saying that like I needed to be more masculine or need to be stronger, and this was last season. So I can see the difference in just a year. You know what I'm saying? That the show's making, which is, I think, amazing. And I think we're inspiring a lot of people.
Yeah, and hopefully this is a game changer, because as you know, 10 years ago, this show would never have seen the light of day.
Never.
So I think that this is, I don't know. I told him, Travis, I'm like, I'm already seeing your Emmy for 2019. It just, to me, I'm like, it's there, it's done. It's kind of incredible when you look at it.
And I'm happy I have a big part of that, because I feel like me and even Jay Jackson, who came on as himself and just so grateful to have that experience and to share who he is as a person, and then me coming and like being really masculine but still being very feminine and very outgoing and just very bubbly and not being afraid of that. Like, I feel like we have huge parts in that, and I'm so excited for that.
Yes, and Jay, I think, is going to be coming on my show later on in the fall. He's so busy traveling and touring and stuff like that, but I feel like that is another story that we really need to hear, and I was glad that was showcased throughout Academy Week. I always love to ask this question. Obviously, getting on the show is great. Leaving the show is not your favorite part, but highs and lows over the last 4 weeks.
Oh, wow, highs and lows. A high for me, and it's going to sound very cheesy, but it's so true, was meeting people like JJ and Hanalei and just the cast, people in the cast, meeting these people who I would have never thought would become my friends because we were in competition together, that have, like JJ, become one of my best friends. And like, I haven't even known him a solid year, you know what I'm saying? Like,
did you guys meet over the auditions season 14?
We did, but
oh, tell the story. I just know it's good because JJ's laughing.
I'm gonna spill the tea right now. Okay,
do it.
So, you know, last year JJ was like in a different headspace, you know, and it wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but it caused him to be very inverted and just not very approachable. And for me, the type of person I am, I'm very approachable. Like, I'm like ready to go, ready to talk, you know, or ready to like get to know you and hug and kisses and blah, blah, blah. So for me, when I tried to do that, I felt that energy from him, and it just wasn't very positive. It just wasn't a good meet. So I was like, okay, well then now, maybe if he comes back, I knew I was going to come back to audition again. And I was like, so if I see him, I'll know what it is. So I, leave it alone. And it was just, this year was like a whole new JJ. And I was like, where did he go?
Yeah,
I was looking for him. Yeah. And it was like incredible. Like we just clicked right away. And like, it was just from the moment we said hi. We said hi the same way. And it was just like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. And it's been incredible. Like, really, really great.
Oh, I like that. That's a good story and a good ending.
Yeah.
And we all grow as people too. So that's, if you're not growing, yeah.
Know what you're doing.
What was it, what clicked for you between season 14 and 15? Like what got you on the show that you did a little differently this year?
Guess what? Being myself. And it's really, I'm being completely honest. I think even for me last year, I was in a place where I was like, I need to be on the show. So like, I need to just, be this type of person because this is what they want on the show. Mm-hmm. And that was my mindset. And I was like, I have to be this type of dancer and I have to do this and I have to do this for cameras. And then this year I was like, what was I even thinking? Like this year, so many people liked me for being myself and being funny and just being who I am and wearing what I wear. It's like, people loved that. And I was like, oh my God, why didn't I do this last year?
Because authenticity, this is the thing. And this is the one thing. Once everyone realizes how important authenticity is and you relax into it and you're like, you know what? I make mistakes. Sometimes I'm funny. Sometimes I'm really nerdy.
Right.
Once you do that, people are like, God, I like that person so much. And sometimes I'm like, I don't even know why I like you, but there's like an intangible quality.
Right.
And it reads across cameras and everything else.
And you realize for yourself, you realize what you can make people feel, and like how happy you can make someone when they're having a bad day. Like I know for me, there's so many people who I knew who were so just depressed every day. And like, I would come around and just like give them a compliment or say something.
Sprinkle a little sunshine.
Yeah. And then they would have a better day. They would say, thank you for doing that and for being you. Cause now I'm feeling better just because you're here. And like, I realize I have that effect on people and I'm so grateful that I'm who I am.
That's a good quality.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't ever let that, don't hide that one. Don't. Can we talk a little bit about your lube? It was Lou Brown with Comfort, right?
Yes.
Come on. This was another, you both had like really good final dances.
Yeah.
Where they're like, surprise, not top 20, it's top 10, everyone.
Yes.
And you really have to just sit there and muscle through it and focus and get yourself on the show.
Yeah. That piece was probably one of my favorite pieces ever.
It was really good.
It was just so fun. And that character was me. Like, I mean, it wasn't even a character because that's what I am. That's what I do. Like those faces, like everything was so natural. And Comfort's energy that she gave me was like, I was like, oh my God, like this is incredible.
Which is Comfort.
Which is comfort.
What you see with Comfort is exactly what you get.
Is
all the
what
time.
you get. And like, and then I had never worked with Luther Brown and I had never even like really knew who he was. Really? I know. And then going into that space in that room with him and Comfort, I was like, oh my God. It was like a whole new world. And I loved every second of those rehearsals, of that piece. And it just kept getting better and better. Like he would just be like, do it again. And I would just keep finding moments that was gonna stick with America, and it did. Like I think everyone loved that piece. So
yeah, it was one of those too, because it's here we have Darius, like the contemporary dancer with the gorgeous lines, and then you're like, what is this, and where has he been?
Yeah,
and that was really important. When I saw Luther week 1, I said, I need to come into my office. Like the first week, and I was like, that piece, like I love that piece, and I was like, that really helped you get on the show because you're showing different colors, different sides, different abilities.
And I was comfortable with that. I was like, when Nigel said that comment to me, he said, you always do sad pieces. And I was like, and I had to take a second to reflect. And I was like, oh my God, he's right. Like I've only been doing sad things on the show. And when I got that opportunity to do that piece, I was like, you got to just go for it. You got to let these walls down and you just got to go for it. And it was the best decision ever.
Any reflections on all those sad solos?
For me, I move that way because I think that it makes more of a statement, and it explains. I'm sorry, it explains my life more and what I've been through and how I used to feel inside. And I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I liked that feeling. I liked that feeling of letting what I've been through out into the world. But I didn't realize that once I stepped off the stage, I was still in that zone, you know?
Yep.
And I wasn't being Darius.
Yeah, you have to release it.
Yeah. And so I was holding on to that same energy that I had on stage to try to get my story across. And then I was taking that off the stage, which hindered me last season.
So interesting, because your story, I mean, where you began, where you've come from, where you are right in this moment is really an incredible story. I went back and watched the season 14 package that they did on you, and so, and I asked a few times, I think, was your mom here or your godmother? Who was rooting you on in the audience every week, like going crazy with the signs? Both. Okay, so it's just everyone's going crazy wearing Darius shirts and faces and everything else. Okay, great, because I was like,
I know,
a couple weeks, I know. And your aunt has passed away, is that correct? So I mean, this story of, because this can go so many directions for so many people, and I want people to just understand that people go through challenges, and I think you've had some of the bigger challenges of the other contestants in comparison. And what, obviously dance kept you on a path. Yeah. How did it save you?
Well, it's crazy because I had experienced so much so early, and so I was very overwhelmed. And there was several points where I was like, what is my existence? Like, it was just like so many negative situations had came my way that I was like, there's no positivity in my life. So what is there to do? And I got to a point where I did feel like I was being on suicide watch. I don't know. It was just like, it was a very, very low point. And then when I started dancing, it was like, I can do something. I felt like I could do something positive, and I could have a positive, I can put positivity out in the world. And when I started dancing, it was like, it really kept me from being in that dark hole. And I mean, when I was performing, I would get responses of people saying, oh my God, that was so amazing. Like, I loved watching you. And I remember that was my first performance, getting those comments. And I was like, oh my God, like, I'm making people feel good. And it made me feel good in the end. So I just kept with it, you know.
It's really kind of incredible how this whole, what we get here, and I'm like, you were just on a national TV show. Yeah. You're part of that top 10. I mean, really top 6, but you should pat yourself on the back.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think so many stories take a left, take a right, and you stayed on a path that was good and healthy too. And I think that's mental health. We forget is so important. Like, we've got this, you have incredible physical capabilities, but keeping that mind in a really good place is amazing.
It's incredible. And I'm so happy that I was able to do that. And I even still get messages from people saying that, like, you inspire me, and like any advice, like asking for advice and things like that. And it's like, because people see that you can get out of these situations and there is a way out, and you just have to find it and you have to keep pushing. That, this is helping people. Like, I'm helping people. And it's not, and for me, being on the show wasn't even about winning. And I think that's why the eliminations for me wasn't so bad, because for me, I had a different reason on being on the show. I initially wanted to be on the show because I made a vow to my aunt before she passed that I would be on the show for her. So that was my initial goal. And then along with that, inspiring people to keep pushing, even when you feel like there's no way out, just keep fighting. And
you got to go through it.
You got to go through it.
You got to go through it to get to the other side.
And that was my whole goal. I was like, if I could do this for people and help people, then like, I'm content with that, and I'm fine with that. And that's what I've done. And I'm so excited. Like,
the more you keep sharing your story, the greater your reach. And I don't, even if you don't know how great that impact is, it's even bigger than you can possibly imagine.
Of course.
You went to Butler University in between season 14 and 15.
I did.
I always think I went to NYU for dance. So, the path of a college dancer is a little different than a professional dancer.
Oh, yeah.
What did your year bring at Butler? Because they're known for a great ballet program.
Yeah, well, it was so weird because even before I auditioned for the show last season, I wanted to be a ballet dancer. I was like, I want to be a contemporary ballet dancer. That was the set goal. I was going to graduate high school, go to college, and I was going to be a professional ballet dancer in a company. And I needed to do the show because I made that promise to my aunt, not thinking that it would happen, really. I just needed to do it to see what the outcome would be. So for me, going to school after the season, after season 14, it was a huge change. And between last season and this season going there as well has been so crazy to me because I think it's helped so much with me being on the show. Like my technique has improved like tremendously. It's insane. And I don't know where I found the abilities to do these other styles because in college I was not exposed to anything that was produced on the show.
Were you in a ballet track with them?
Strictly ballet.
Okay.
And we had a jazz class and a modern class, but it was so concert jazz and concert modern. It was nowhere near what the show was bringing. So I was scared because I was like, I'm not going to be prepared.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm doing all this ballet.
Lou Brown, we're going to give you.
And then I had Lou Brown. I was like, I'm not prepared. So I was scared coming into the season. But I mean, I watched those YouTube videos in my dorm room late at night, learning cha-cha. Like I couldn't go to any studios because there's not really great studios in Indiana. And I had no time. So I would have to learn everything off of YouTube. And it was like,
whose videos
so
were you
hard.
watching? Like a little Dancing with the Stars, like Cha-Cha, little Val Schmikovsky?
Yes, of course. And I was like, okay, what are they doing here? Like, what's my performance quality supposed to be? And it was like a full-on homework assignment. Like every week I would have to watch a new style and like do it in my dorm room because that was the only way I was gonna be able to do it.
And then months later, you're doing the cha-cha with Magda and Val choreographing.
it. And I was like, great, this is where we are right now. Love that journey, as Travis would say.
Amazing. So obviously you were going on tour. Are you putting a pause on your college studies and then coming back to LA post-tour, you think?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm putting a pause on college because I think that this opportunity, I need to go for it. I need to keep it, keep that this platform going, and I don't want to waste it. So I'm gonna put everything on pause for now. After the tour, I'm gonna move to LA and do great things and keep inspiring, hopefully. And yeah, that's the goal.
I said to you last night, I was like, Desmond Richardson, complexions.
Oh, yeah.
I was getting vibes of that. It just kept on coming in my head. And I was like, that needs to you need to work with him at some point. Have you?
But it's so funny because if I would have stayed in school, he's actually coming this fall to choreograph and I would have worked with him. But I'm sure our paths will cross.
Yes.
Something greater. So
yeah, at some point you guys will meet.
Yeah.
It's funny that he's winding up at
maybe I'll like choreograph or something for them if I'm not dancing with them.
That would be great.
Yeah, I'm
Call
excited.
Up Butler and be like, can I cross paths with
Yes,
Desmond while you guys
yes.
Is he there all year or is he just there for a semester?
Yeah, just for a semester, teaching a piece.
Visiting guest artist, always
Yep.
great. And that's some of the wonderful things about college dance programs. If you go to a really strong program,
Right.
they bring in these incredible artists.
Great people. Like, oh my God, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like the show almost. But
Yeah, and it's an
different
interesting
world.
path. Like dancers have to, it's hard to make that decision. Like, do you go to college?
Yes.
Do you do the professional
Yes.
thing? And you have to do what's right for you.
Yeah.
What's right for one is not right for the other.
True that.
Absolutely. So you think you can dance kind of changed your idea of what your dance career is
yeah.
going to look like?
1000%.
Yeah. Now what does your career look like in your head?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to start doing more commercial work. I mean, I really didn't think that I would ever be good at it. I didn't think that it would ever happen. And since doing the show and getting the feedback I've been given, I'm like, oh my God, I want to do this. Like, let's try this now. And so I'm excited to see what's next because even all my friends are like, we never seen this coming. Like I had a lot of friends who grew up in the competition world.
Yep.
So they knew about the show and they knew how everything worked and they knew, you know, what the show required from you as a dancer. And I wasn't very familiar with the show because I was so focused on a ballet path. So I didn't know what was happening. And all my friends were like, you will be so good on the show. Like, I promise you. And I was like, guys, no, like, I want to do ballet. Like, just let me do it. And now that I'm here and I'm like, oh my God, like, they were right. Like, this is, like, I am supposed to be doing this. So I think that's the goal now.
All right. And do you want to choreograph? Because you just said you might want to choreograph.
Yeah, I do
so you
wanna
have your eyes on
choreograph.
choreography.
Yeah, I mean, even though I'm in this commercial world, I think like JJ is, you know, trying to he's reinventing jazz. I want to reinvent contemporary and add a lot of ballet training that I've learned incorporated in that. And I think that my style is very much contemporary ballet, is very much complexions type work because I love beautiful lines, but then I love coming out of it, you know, in a not so graceful way, but then getting back to a beautiful line picture. I love that type of movement, which Travis is very good at doing, which that's why I loved working with him and I hope work with him soon again. But I love that type of movement. So I think I want to introduce that more in the commercial because I feel like that's not a huge thing.
No, it's, and
right
I
now.
always think that, you know, the dance world is ripe for new voices and, you know, pushing the envelope a little bit. It doesn't all have to be tricks. And I think sometimes I get a little concerned when it's like trick, trick, trick.
Exactly.
World of Dance has been, and I'll say it, World of Dance has been a lot of tricks this season. And I think that like there is something to be said for technique.
Yeah.
And there's some beautiful things that come out of simple moments.
Yeah.
So
and to be honest, ballet is the foundation of dance. If you do not know, now you know. If you don't have ballet training, you know, you're not there. I mean, you can, don't get me wrong, there's people who have never trained in ballet or anything who are very good at what they do. But what they don't know is all of that developed from the ballet training world. So like, it's important to keep that technique in there because that's how you do what you do.
That's right.
It's technique.
As someone who just took her first ballet class, I've been talking about this a lot on Instagram, but I took my first ballet class after 15 years of not taking a class.
Oh my God.
But the muscle memory is incredible.
Incredible.
I could still do double pirouettes. Now, they were not the most beautiful double pirouettes, but I was always a good turner. And they still live within me, and I was kind of proud about that.
Yes.
My extension was never great, and it needs a lot of work, let's be honest. But it really helps tremendously with things like that.
crazy.
So I love it. We're starting like revolutions and Renaissance, jazz, contemporary ballet. This is all happening. I'm like, I've been waiting for this. I've been screaming about things for years.
It's happening, and hopefully JJ and I will be collabing and just like doing like a jazz contempt ballet fusion. Like that would be fierce work.
I love it. And we have this all on tape. So I love that like maybe one day we'll be like, well, remember when this was born in the studio? We threw out these ideas one morning.
Positive energy.
Absolutely. Well, so wonderful to have you here. Obviously, you know, for you guys, I'm like, I get so excited to have you here, but at the same time, you guys, it means you're off the show. But you know what? There's 1 week left, and you're all back for the finale, and then you're all going on tour, and then the careers begin.
I know.
So it's
crazy.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
It's amazing. Where can everyone find you on social media?
On Instagram, my Instagram is Darius Hickman _. And on Twitter, it's _Darius Hickman _.
We got 2 on Twitter.
Yes.
2 underscores. Well, thank you.
With the blue check.
Yes. Everyone loves our little verified. Well, thank you so much for being here. You guys have just been like so positive, and I love that. It's kicking off my day like this because I was like, as I said, I had a lot of feelings about last night. I'm still processing, you guys.
Yeah, us too.
All right. Well, join me for the 3 p.m. regular To The Point because we do have Jenna Johnson, who, by the way, not only choreographed last night on So You Think You Can Dance, but was officially announced as a season 27 Dancing with the Stars pro. So lots of good news coming this way. We will see you guys all in a few hours. Thank you so much to Dance Network and Popcorn Talk for hosting us. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.